Why do you dream of faces you've never seen? Why do we ache for stars we've never seen? What if science is only half of the truth, and the other half breathes in the spaces we can't measure? Some mysteries stay with us like whispers. We touch them through sleep, through thought, through quiet wonder. Even the sharpest tools of science cannot yet carve their full outline. Tonight, we travel there, into the spaces between what is known and what still dreams of being known. This is Nightfall Travels, a soft passage through the unknown. If you'd like to drift with us again, you can quietly anchor here and return whenever the stars call you back. Now, breathe in through your nose, hold for a gentle moment, and out, letting the weight of the day dissolve. Again, slower this time. In and out. Let your eyes grow heavy as we step into the hush of unanswered questions. Far above, in the silent dark between galaxies, there are regions where light has never been seen. Cold expanses we call the cosmic voids. Even after mapping billions of galaxies, astronomers find that most of the universe is nothing. A mystery of emptiness more vast than all creation combined. Imagine floating there, no up, no down, just a breathless ocean of darkness. Your body feels weightless, your heartbeat the only sound. Science tells us the void may hold hints of dark energy, the force that pushes the cosmos apart. But for now, it remains an untouched silence, one that might hum with the low rhythm of creation itself. You drift onward into a region scientists call the Great Attractor, a gravitational mystery pulling thousands of galaxies toward a single invisible center. We do not know what waits there, only that space itself bends in its direction, as if some cosmic heartbeat is calling everything home. Some theories suggest it could be a colossal cluster hidden behind dust, or something stranger, a distortion in space-time itself. Whatever it is, its pull reaches even us, tiny passengers on a pale blue world spiraling quietly through the Milky Way. And when you look back toward that blue world, you find another mystery waiting beneath its thin veil of air. Why life? Why here? Every breath you take holds the same atoms forged in ancient stars. Hydrogen, born from the dawn of time, carbon once part of a collapsing sun. You are, quite literally, the dust of cosmic explosions arranged into thought. Science can trace the chain of chemistry, but not the first spark of awareness that makes you look up and wonder. Breathe again, deep and steady. Let the thought of your own origin settle into warmth. The hydrogen in your blood once drifted through the Milky Way, lost and cold, until it found its way into a star, then into the cradle of Earth, and finally into you. Mystery doesn't always live in the vast unknown. Sometimes it hums inside your very cells. On the horizon of space, physicists chase another riddle. Dark matter. Invisible, untouchable. Yet it shapes the motion of galaxies like unseen fingers guiding a dance. It makes up most of the mass in the universe, and yet we have never held a single particle of it. They build detectors deep underground, in silence, waiting for something that almost never touches anything at all. Some theories whisper it could be ancient particles left from the Big Bang. Others that it might be hidden dimensions brushing against ours. No one knows. And so we listen to the silence, to the gravity, to the slow turning of galaxies. You feel yourself sinking gently through that idea, the thought of invisible matter surrounding everything. It's there, around your body even now, passing through you, through the bed beneath you, through the earth itself. Billions of particles, ghosts of the cosmos, moving without touch, the unseen holding up the scene, a reminder that much of reality is hidden from human eyes. And perhaps that's why dreams exist, to remind us there's more than we can measure. Another breath. Let it fall softly, like starlight on calm water. From space to sea, our next mystery waits below, the deep ocean. We know more about Mars than the darkest trenches of our own planet. In those frozen depths, pressure could crush steel, yet strange lights shimmer from living creatures. Bioluminescent jellyfish drift through black water like slow fireworks. Entire ecosystems bloom around vents where the Earth's crust bleeds heat into the abyss. No sunlight, no air, and still, life sings. Imagine descending through that water, your body weightless again, your heartbeat echoing like sonar. Around you, shapes glide out of darkness, translucent, soft, moving with the patience of eternity. Science has names for some, but countless others remain unseen. Perhaps they have no names because they need none. They simply are. Each flickers of light you see could be a message, a pulse, a rhythm of survival older than the continents above. Biologists study these creatures, yet admit they may never witness most of them. There are trenches deeper than Everest is tall, where pressure turns water into something close to metal. Still, tiny organisms thrive there. Bacteria that feed on stone, creatures that taste sulfur and live on heat. It challenges everything we think we know about the conditions of life. If life can exist there, in crushing dark and poison, perhaps it can exist anywhere. Beneath the ice of Europa, in the clouds of Venus, or drifting in the methane seas of Titan. As you imagine those alien oceans, your body relaxes deeper. Your breathing slows, matching the gentle sway of the tides you picture. You realize that Earth, too, is a kind of spacecraft, carrying life through a vast sea of stars, powered by a single golden engine we call the sun. And somewhere in the silence between heartbeats, you begin to feel that same rhythm, the pulse of existence itself. Outside your window, the night hums. Crickets sing their ancient code. Wind brushes softly through the leaves, and though you cannot see it, the earth spins quietly beneath you. A perfect balance of motion and stillness. Every second, somewhere, a star is born. Every second, somewhere, a star dies. The universe breathes in and out, and you breathe with it. The mysteries of science are not always meant to be solved. Sometimes they are meant to be felt, to remind us that wonder is not the opposite of knowledge. It is its beginning. So rest here at the edge of knowing. Let your mind float between the stars and the sea. Beyond this breath, we'll drift deeper into the mysteries of time, memory, and the dreaming mind itself. Close your eyes now. The journey continues. Time, it feels simple. One moment after another, each falling like grains of sand through a glass that never stops turning. But even physicists admit they don't truly know what time is. Einstein taught that it bends and stretches, that the ticking of a clock depends on how fast you move or how deep you stand in gravity's well. To a particle near the edge of a black hole, time slows to near stillness. To you, it races onward. Two observers, two truths, both correct. The mystery lies in the way the universe measures existence, relativity written in silence. You picture it now. a distant astronaut orbiting a massive planet, her seconds sliding past like molasses, while yours fall like rain. If she returned to Earth, she would be younger than when she left. A real phenomenon, time dilation, confirmed by atomic clocks carried aboard fast planes and satellites. Science has proven it, yet can't explain why the fabric of reality should flow differently for different travelers. It simply does. Time is not a river, after all. It is a landscape. And depending on where you stand, the slope changes. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine walking across that landscape. Each step forward is a heartbeat, a year, a life. Behind you, memories soften into mist. Ahead, possibilities shimmer like morning dew. Some theories whisper that every moment, past, present, future, exists simultaneously, stacked like pages in an infinite book. Your consciousness flips through them one by one, giving the illusion of motion. If that's true, then perhaps every version of you still exists. The child looking at the stars, the adult staring at the same sky, the elder dreaming beneath it. But consciousness itself, what is it? The most familiar thing and the least understood. Neuroscientists can trace electrical sparks through the brain, map thought to neurons, measure waves of sleep and attention. Yet none can say where awareness comes from or why it feels like something. How does a network of atoms create a mind that wonders about its own existence? Imagine standing in a dark room where hundreds of fireflies flicker at random. Each blink is a neuron firing. Then, slowly, they begin to synchronize. Tiny pulses forming patterns, rhythms, meaning. That's what happens in your brain when you think, when you dream, when you love. But how does that coordination give rise to you, the observer behind the eyes? Some call it the hard problem of consciousness, and despite decades of study, no one has found its key. Some theories suggest consciousness emerges from complexity like a melody from notes. Others hint it might be fundamental to the universe itself. A field like gravity, woven into space-time. If so, or perhaps even atoms, feel a faint shimmer of awareness. Perhaps the universe dreams through us. You let that thought float. The air grows still. The edges of your mind blur. It's easy to imagine that consciousness is not confined to the skull, but extends outward, touching everything it perceives. Like light reflecting in infinite mirrors, awareness begets awareness. You sense it in the quiet hum of the room, in the faint whisper of your own breath. And then comes memory, another mystery tied to time. Every memory you hold is stored in a network of cells that rebuild themselves every few weeks. The body renews, but the story remains. How? Science can trace where memory lives, the hippocampus, the cortex, but not how experience becomes meaning. How a moment turns into a feeling, a scent into nostalgia, a song into love. Close your eyes again. Think of a moment that shaped you, the air, the sound, the pulse of it. Somewhere inside, that moment is encoded as chemistry, yet it still glows with emotion. Perhaps memory is not just a record, but a bridge between the physical and the ineffable. A proof that the self stretches beyond biology. Dreaming may be the purest proof of that. Every night, your brain disconnects from the world, yet continues to simulate it. Vivid, emotional, alive. Dreams feel real because neurologically they are. The same regions of the brain light up as when you're awake. Still, we don't know why we dream. Some theories say it's the mind rehearsing for survival, sorting emotion, restoring balance. Others believe dreams help process memory, weaving chaos into coherence. But even in the deepest studies, there's a quiet gap, something beyond pattern or purpose, a realm where the mind becomes its own universe. Picture drifting through one of your dreams, colors you can't name, voices that fade as soon as you turn toward them, faces that feel both familiar and strange. The brain builds this world from nothing but thought, yet it feels vast and real. In those moments, are you not a creator? Your own cosmos, expanding each night behind closed eyes. Breathe softly. In this twilight between waking and sleep, your consciousness dances on that thin border, half in the measurable world, half in the unseen. Here, you can almost sense the mechanism of dreaming. Rapid eye movements beneath closed lids, bursts of neural lightning deep within. And yet, for all our instruments and equations, science cannot capture the feeling of flight or falling, or the warmth of someone long gone appearing in a dream. Those are mysteries of experience, beyond data, beyond definition. When you wake, the dream dissolves, but the emotion lingers like scent after rain. And maybe that's the universe reminding you that not everything real must last forever. The seconds stretch, your breath deepens. The mystery of time folds into the mystery of the mind, and together they carry you forward. Into the next unknown, the subtle pulse of the heart, the language of life itself. The stars shift outside your window. Somewhere, unseen, the galaxy turns. Somewhere within you, more than 30 trillion cells are whispering. They move, divide, signal, and repair, as if reading from an invisible script written in light. And though science has mapped the genome, sequenced the code, and named each organ, it still cannot answer the simplest question of all. Why does it live? Electricity flows through you like an unbroken dawn. Your heart pulses in perfect rhythm, roughly 100,000 beats each day. We know how it works. Electrical signals spark across nodes. Calcium channels open and close. Muscles contract. Yet the first spark, what starts that beating heart in the womb, remains an ungraspable mystery. When exactly does life begin? What tells those cells to start their eternal drumbeat? Science calls it the initiation of cardiac activity, but that phrase hides its wonder. In truth, it's closer to magic. Close your eyes. Imagine that first pulse beginning deep inside the darkness of an unborn ocean. Tiny, fragile, defiant. A heartbeat before the mind, before the breath. A rhythm that says, I am here. From that instant, everything else unfolds, the body building itself, molecule by molecule, as if following an ancient memory carried through time. Each cell knows where to go, what to become. Some will form the heart, some the brain, others the fingertips that one day will trace the outline of another's face. This orchestration happens without thought, without conductor, yet the harmony holds. It's as though every cell remembers the entire symphony and simply joins the right part. Biologists call this morphogenesis, the mysterious emergence of shape from chaos. Genes guide it, yes, but genes alone are not enough. Identical DNA can produce wildly different outcomes depending on context. A single fertilized egg can become skin, bone, or nerve. The code is constant, yet the result changes. Somewhere between chemistry and consciousness, form arises. And no one knows why it takes that shape and not another. You picture it now. Microscopic filaments weaving together, threads of protein folding into purpose. In your mind's eye, it looks almost like light turning into sound, a silent music assembling the self. Science watches through microscopes, but even the clearest lenses can only observe, never explain the why. Life builds itself as if it remembers something older than matter. Then comes another riddle, the one that keeps geneticists awake at night. We know how DNA copies itself, how it mutates, how it encodes instruction. But who wrote the code? 4 letters, A, T, C, G, spelling the script of existence. It behaves like language, grammar, rhythm, even punctuation. No human designed it, yet it writes the story of every creature that has ever lived. From starfish to sequoia, from sparrow to you, all born from the same alphabet. Some researchers think this code might not have originated on Earth at all. Panspermia, they call it. The idea that life seeds drifted here from space, carried on comets or cosmic dust. Others believe it rose from Earth's own deep chemistry, simple molecules forming chains in warm volcanic pools until one learned to replicate. Either way, the moment life began remains hidden. Even with modern technology, no one has recreated it from scratch. We can simulate, approximate, but not awaken. You imagine standing at the edge of that primordial sea. Steam rises, air thick with minerals and thunder. Lightning flashes, touching water, and somewhere, a cluster of molecules twitches, just enough to make a copy of itself. That small act changes the universe forever. The first breathless heartbeat of biology. The difference between matter and meaning. Now breathe in, deeply. That same chemistry still lives in you. Your cells replicate, heal, transform, remembering the first lesson the universe ever learned: to continue. There is another kind of life within you, one not even your own. More than half of your body's cells are not human. They belong to bacteria, viruses, fungi, your microbiome, an entire ecosystem living in symbiosis. Science has only begun to understand their dialogue. Microbes whispering through hormones and electrical signals, even influencing emotion. A gut bacterium might decide how anxious you feel or how deeply you sleep. The self, it seems, is not a single voice, but a choir. You feel that now, a subtle awareness of being plural, a living world wrapped in skin. Trillions of silent collaborators keeping you alive each second without your consent or knowledge. When you breathe, they breathe. When you rest, they feast and build and dream. You are not one being. You are a constellation. Scientists speak of this cooperation as emergence, a principle that repeats everywhere in nature. Ant colonies behave like single organisms. Flocks of birds move as if sharing thought. Neurons form a brain that becomes a mind. From simplicity, intelligence arises. Unplanned, collective, beautiful. And yet, no one knows the spark that makes it happen. It's as though the universe is wired to create harmony from chaos. Picture a murmuration of starlings sweeping across a pink dusk. Thousands of wings shifting in perfect unison. No leader, no signal. Just the unseen pulse of shared awareness. The same principle breathes through your veins, your cells, your mind. Every heartbeat, every breath is the body remembering its song. In hospitals, doctors can replace organs, replicate tissues, even map the genome of a single cell. But they still cannot create life. They can preserve, support, resuscitate. But the instant that spark fades, the body falls silent. Whatever life is, it cannot be built, only invited. Some physicists wonder whether life is simply the universe observing itself, matter becoming aware enough to notice its own existence. If that's true, then perhaps every heartbeat, every neuron, every sigh in the dark is the cosmos saying, "I am here." You lie still now, feeling the echo of that thought move through you. Every molecule in your body once belonged to something else, a star, a river, a mountain, another life. You are made of ancient stories, borrowed, reborn, and retold through breath. In you, the mysteries of physics and biology merge, and somewhere in that meeting, something sacred happens. The rhythm of your heart slows. Its sound is no longer separate from the night's quiet hum. Your body becomes the landscape, and your pulse becomes the tide. Outside, the wind shifts, and the stars shimmer faintly above the sleeping world. You feel small, but not insignificant, part of a pattern that science may never fully explain, and perhaps should never try to. For what lives within you does not ask to be solved. It only asks to be felt. And as your breath deepens, you drift toward the next horizon, where Earth's quiet miracles unfold beyond the human body in forests, oceans, storms, and seeds. The mystery of life continues, everywhere the world breathes. Beneath your feet, the Earth is alive in ways that defy comprehension. Roots whisper beneath the soil. Mountains inhale time. Even the air you breathe is the planet's voice, rising and falling with each sunrise. Science measures it in carbon, nitrogen, pressure, and flow. But something deeper hums beneath those equations. A rhythm, an intelligence, a pattern that moves through stone, water, and leaf. Biologists call it the wood wide web, the network of fungi and roots beneath every forest. It links trees together, sharing nutrients, warnings, even information. A dying tree can send its remaining carbon to younger saplings. A mother tree feeds her offspring through mycorrhizal threads so fine they make spider silk look like rope. Through this silent underground exchange, forests act as one organism, a breathing mind with 1,000 green thoughts. Imagine walking barefoot through that forest. You can almost feel it beneath you, a pulse that isn't just your own. The ground hums softly, not in sound, but in sensation. Every root you step over connects to another and another until the entire forest is one vast living network. Above, leaves tremble in the wind. But below, communication flows silently, molecule by molecule, across miles. Science calls it signal transduction. But it feels more like conversation. For decades, researchers resisted the idea of plant intelligence. Plants don't have brains, they said. But then came the data. Plants recognizing kin, responding to music, learning from experience, even remembering trauma. Peas trained to associate a breeze with light, later bent toward air currents, even when the light was gone. Mimosa plants, known for folding their leaves when touched, learned to stop reacting when the touch proved harmless. Memory without neurons, learning without thought. It forced science to widen its definition of mind. Close your eyes and picture a single leaf trembling in sunlight. Its green surface captures photons, turning them into sugar, turning sunlight into life. Inside, microscopic reactions unfold in silence. Millions of molecular exchanges each second, each one perfectly timed. Photosynthesis. It sustains the world, yet we rarely feel its strangeness. A simple leaf converts light into matter, something we still cannot replicate efficiently in a lab. Even the smallest fern performs miracles we have not yet mastered. Some scientists propose that plants experience a slow awareness, what they call distributed cognition. No brain, but thousands of sensors. No language, yet exquisite coordination. Each cell acts with purpose, responding to gravity, light, humidity, sound. If intelligence means solving problems, adapting, thriving, then a forest is a cathedral of thought. Now imagine that awareness extending across oceans. Coral reefs, built from countless tiny organisms, form cities of color and movement. Each coral polyp senses its neighbors, adjusting shape and chemistry for balance. When the water warms, the reef bleaches, its living skin slipping away, leaving behind a white skeleton. But even then, some reefs recover, rebuilding themselves over decades, as if remembering what they once were. Science calls this resilience, yet it feels like memory, a biological will to endure. From bacteria to whales, from fungi to forests, every system on Earth carries this instinct. To survive, to restore balance. It's as if the planet itself strives for harmony. And perhaps it does. In the 1970s, a scientist named James Lovelock proposed the Gaia hypothesis, the idea that Earth acts as a self-regulating organism. The atmosphere, oceans, soil, and life forms interact like organs in a single body. When one falters, another compensates. Volcanoes release carbon, forests absorb it, oceans store it, clouds return it as rain. The cycle breathes, inhale, exhale, adjust. It's not mystical, it's measurable. Yet, it invites a thought that stirs quietly in the soul. What if the Earth itself is aware? Not in the way we are, not with words or will, but through balance and pattern. Consciousness might not be confined to neurons. It could exist in any system complex enough to reflect on itself. If so, then the blue marble hanging in space may be more than home, it may be mind. You feel it now, faintly. The slow pulse of the planet beneath you, deep as the ocean floor. Each wave against the shore is a heartbeat. Each gust of wind, a breath. Each spark of lightning, a neuron firing in Earth's vast electric field. The Schumann resonance, the frequency at which the planet naturally vibrates, is roughly 8 Hertz, close to the rhythm of human brain waves in calm meditation. Coincidence or connection? Science leaves the question open. But when you sit in stillness long enough, the boundary between your heartbeat and the planets begins to blur. Breathe with the Earth. In through the air, it has filtered for millennia. Out through the rhythm, it has taught all living things. For a moment, you are not separate. You are the forest, the ocean, the sky dreaming itself awake. Now imagine the rain. Each drop falls from clouds formed by invisible salt crystals lifted from the sea. Each drop carries microscopic life, bacteria, pollen, spores. Rain is not just water. It's a messenger between sky and soil. It carries the ocean's memory to the mountains, then back again through rivers to the sea. A cycle older than language. Science can chart it in diagrams, but the poetry of it remains untouched. The planet continually giving itself back to itself. In deserts, even the air holds secrets. Tiny particles rise from the Sahara and travel across the Atlantic, feeding the Amazon rainforest with minerals. The world's largest desert nourishing the world's largest jungle. Life sustaining life across oceans of wind. It's a balance so delicate, a shift in temperature could unravel it. And yet, for millions of years, it endures. When you stand outside under stars, you stand within this system. Every atom in your lungs has been through countless forms: leaf, cloud, tide, breath. You inhale what once was exhaled by ancient trees, by dinosaurs, by the first algae that painted the oceans green. You are not apart from nature. You are its continuation. The breeze outside your window carries that truth quietly. Every sound of the night is a conversation older than humanity. Insects clicking, frogs calling, leaves brushing, data, signals, dialogue. A living network too vast to ever be fully decoded, though science keeps listening, mapping, wondering. And in that wondering, the line between knowledge and reverence blurs. Perhaps intelligence is not limited to those who measure it. Perhaps the world itself is thinking, slowly, patiently, in ways we can only feel. Your body softens now, attuned to that planetary calm. The pulse in your wrist echoes the rhythm of distant waves. For a moment, everything is one motion. The earth turning, the tide rising, the breath flowing in and out. The great organism called life, alive within and around you. Rest in that awareness. Let the weight of your body sink into the earth's gentle gravity, the oldest cradle of all. The planet holds you, not as a guest, but as part of itself. And somewhere in that stillness, a new mystery waits. The silence of the stars above the breathing world, and the question of whether something watches back. The journey continues. The sky has always been a mirror for our curiosity. Every glint of light above you tonight is a question, an echo, a possibility. You look up, and the darkness looks back, though it says nothing. For centuries, we've listened, wondering whether someone, somewhere, might be listening too. The Fermi paradox begins with a simple observation. If the universe is so vast, so full of stars like our sun, and if life arises easily, then where is everyone? There are more stars in the cosmos than grains of sand on all the beaches of Earth. Statistically, life should be everywhere. And yet, when we point our telescopes into the black, what we find is silence. You imagine yourself floating above the planet, the blue marble shrinking beneath your feet. Beyond the thin shimmer of atmosphere, there is only darkness, profound, unbroken, almost sacred. This is not empty space. It is filled with radiation, particles, light traveling for billions of years, and perhaps whispers from other minds. For 60 years, the SETI project, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, has listened. Gigantic dishes scan the heavens for signals that repeat, pulse, or bear the patterns of intent. So far, nothing certain. Once, in 1977, there was the wow signal, a sharp burst from the constellation Sagittarius that lasted 72 seconds. It never repeated. It was never explained. Just a single exclamation mark written in the static of space. And then, silence again. Some say the silence means we are alone. Others believe we are surrounded by life that simply hasn't spoken yet, or speaks in ways we cannot hear. Maybe communication itself is the barrier. Maybe civilizations, like stars, flare and fade before their messages can cross the abyss. Time and distance may make neighbors into ghosts. You float through that thought now, weightless among galaxies. Below, Earth glows faintly, a single candle in an endless cathedral. You feel the scale of it, the humility of being one small consciousness in a cosmic ocean. And yet, within that humility, something wondrous. The fact that you can wonder at all. Astronomers estimate there are more than 200 billion galaxies in the observable universe. In our own Milky Way alone, perhaps 100 billion planets. Among them, worlds that may have oceans, clouds, mountains, perhaps even forests that breathe beneath alien suns. Some may be frozen, some burning, some in perfect balance. We call that fragile zone the habitable zone. The Goldilocks distance, not too hot, not too cold. It's where liquid water, the solvent of life, can flow. And wherever water flows, life seems to follow. We've found it in the strangest places here on Earth. Inside Antarctic ice, in volcanic vents, deep within rocks miles underground. Life adapts, endures, evolves. So why not elsewhere? The Kepler Space Telescope revealed thousands of exoplanets, many orbiting suns not unlike ours. Some even show hints of atmosphere. Now, newer instruments, like the James Webb Space Telescope, search for chemical fingerprints, oxygen, methane, carbon dioxide, signs that a planet might breathe. No confirmation yet, but Webb has already found planets with clouds, storms, even the faint shimmer of potential habitability. You imagine standing on one of those worlds. The sky might be crimson or violet, its sun dimmer or doubled. Winds could smell of iron or ammonia. And yet, under those alien skies, something might look up, just as you do, and feel the same quiet wonder. The same question: are we alone? Some scientists believe life is inevitable. Wherever chemistry and time meet, consciousness will eventually bloom. Others suspect we are a cosmic rarity, a brief spark in an otherwise indifferent universe. But even if we are alone, the loneliness carries beauty, because in the vast dark, we became the eyes that see it. Listen now. Imagine the sound of the cosmos, background radiation left over from the birth of time. It hums at 2.7 Kelvin, a faint static woven through every signal, every star. It's the echo of the Big Bang, the universe's first breath. When you hear white noise, you are, in a sense, hearing that ancient whisper, the residue of creation itself. The cosmic microwave background tells us that 13.8 billion years ago, everything you know, every atom, every thought, was compressed into a single point. Then, in an instant, expansion. Light burst outward, matter cooled, galaxies formed. And somewhere, billions of years later, a small blue planet turned that stardust into awareness. When you gaze at the night sky, you're not seeing stars as they are, but as they were. Light from Vega is 25 years old. From Betelgeuse, 600 years. From Andromeda, 2.5 million. You are always looking into the past. The universe above you is both ancient and immediate, a living museum of light. And maybe, somewhere out there, another set of eyes looks back, seeing our sun as it was millennia ago, wondering the same questions we ask now. Two species separated by light years, united by curiosity. Science may never bridge that silence, but wonder does. Wonder is its own form of communication, the universal language of minds that seek. Breathe softly. Let that thought sink into you. You are part of this cosmic dialogue, even if you never hear a reply. Every time you look up, you send your own signal, not in radio waves, but in awareness. A quiet acknowledgement. I am here. In the farthest darkness, gravity gathers galaxies into clusters, threads them along invisible filaments of dark matter, like pearls on cosmic strings. its structure on a scale so immense it defies human comprehension. And yet when mapped, it resembles something eerily familiar: the branching of neurons in a brain. The same pattern that connects thoughts also seems to connect stars. Perhaps, at some level, the universe itself thinks. As you drift through that possibility, your body relaxes further. The line between the inner world and outer space dissolves. The cosmos folds into you, and you into it. Your thoughts slow until they feel like planets in orbit. Steady, silent, serene. Out there, between stars, lies a vast mystery science calls the cosmic dark ages, the time before the first light ever shone. What existed then, no one knows. But perhaps the silence we hear now is not absence. Perhaps it is waiting. The universe may still be forming its next great thought. For now, it lets us dream in peace. Our little world spins in that infinite hush, wrapped in its own thin shell of air and cloud. And as the stars watch silently from afar, the ocean murmurs, the wind sings, and life, our improbable, precious life, continues. The night deepens. You feel the quiet vastness expand inside you, gentle as a breath. And slowly, you begin to sense the next mystery calling, not above, but within. The unseen architecture of thought itself. The universe is not only out there, it lives inside your mind too. Inside your skull, storms of light unfold every second. Billions of neurons flicker, sending signals that weave the tapestry of thought, memory, and emotion. If each neuron were a star, your brain would hold a galaxy. And yet, for all our instruments and maps, this universe remains largely unexplored. The human brain weighs little more than 1.5 kilograms. It's made mostly of water, fat, and protein. Ordinary elements that, arranged in an extraordinary way, create the universe you experience. Science can describe its parts: the hippocampus for memory, the amygdala for emotion, the prefrontal cortex for reason. But it cannot yet explain how these regions together produce something as intimate as love, or grief, or the taste of rain. Electrical impulses become thoughts, but no one knows how. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine that inner landscape. Neurons like luminous trees, their branches, dendrites, stretching toward one another, touching for the briefest instant. At those touch points, called synapses, information leaps across tiny gaps. Electricity turned into chemistry, then back into electricity again. Trillions of such connections, firing, shifting, learning, forgetting. A living circuit, rewiring itself with every breath, every thought. Each time you learn something new, microscopic growths sprout from these branches, forming fresh connections. You are not the same person you were a moment ago. Your brain is constantly reshaping itself, sculpted by experience and attention. Neuroscientists call this neuroplasticity, and it is one of nature's quiet miracles, the ability to change the shape of consciousness simply by choosing to. Breathe deeply. Imagine those sparks adjusting, realigning, weaving a gentler pattern of thought. Even as you rest, your brain remains awake, organizing, repairing, dreaming. Sleep, in many ways, is not absence but transformation. Inside the sleeping mind, there's a rhythm. Cycles of light and deep rest, measured in waves. Slow delta waves wash through the cortex, clearing away metabolic clutter, pruning old memories to make room for new ones. Your brain cleans itself while you dream. During REM sleep, it replays the day's experiences, blending memory and imagination into something fluid and strange. In those moments, the brain becomes both storyteller and listener, painting entire worlds behind closed eyes. Scientists can record these patterns, see which areas light up, even predict the emotions of a dream, but what they cannot find is the dreamer. Where, in this storm of signals, does the sense of I reside? It's a question that has haunted philosophy as much as neuroscience. Maybe the self is not a single point, but a pattern. A flicker that exists only when the orchestra plays together. You picture it now. A vast concert of neurons, each playing its note. The melody shifts, evolves, pauses. In that moment between notes, you exist, not as matter, but as music. Another mystery hums beneath the surface, the brain's electrical synchronization. When you meditate, your neurons begin to oscillate in harmony, their frequencies aligning like instruments tuning to the same pitch. This coherence creates calm, clarity, even euphoria. EEG scans show distinct brainwave states. Alpha for relaxation, theta for dreamlike focus, delta for deep sleep. In these slower rhythms, perception softens, boundaries dissolve. The mind becomes oceanic. Breathe in slowly, as if joining that rhythm. You might feel your thoughts moving more gently, the noise quieting into a single hum. This is what ancient monks described as stillness, the point where the watcher and the watched become one. Science can measure the waves, but not the peace that flows from them. Deeper still lies another enigma, the unconscious mind, a realm that never sleeps, quietly shaping everything you do. It governs your heartbeat, your instincts, your intuitions. It decides before you decide. Experiments show that the brain prepares for action milliseconds before awareness catches up. Free will, it seems, may be more like a conversation than a command. But this does not make you a machine. If anything, it makes you part of something larger, a dialogue between body, brain, and world. Consciousness may not sit behind the eyes, but flow through the entire system, like current through water. Perhaps the brain is not the source of awareness, but its receiver. Some researchers have begun to explore this idea, that consciousness might exist outside matter, like a field, and the brain merely tunes into it. They compare it to radio waves. The signal is everywhere, but only the receiver lets you hear the song. Others call this speculation, not science. But still, they cannot explain why matter alone should ever awaken. You drift through that thought like a slow current. Awareness feels both fragile and infinite, one breath wide and yet boundless. Each moment of thought is a ripple, a flash, a shimmer in the great ocean of mind. When the body sleeps, those ripples settle and the water becomes still. Yet even in stillness, the ocean remains alive. Then there is memory, that subtle architect shaping who you are. Memories are not stored like books on a shelf. They are reconstructed each time you recall them. Every act of remembering rewrites the past slightly, blending truth and imagination. Science shows this clearly. Memory is creative, not static. So the story you tell yourself is always evolving, like waves reshaping sand. Your identity, too, is a living document. Imagine your earliest memory, perhaps the color of sunlight on a wall, a sound, a smell. Now realize, what you remember is not the event itself, but the echo of remembering it again and again. The mind, in this way, becomes both the sculptor and the clay. When you dream tonight, those same neural networks, will weave your day into metaphor. Fear becomes shadow. Hope becomes light. Your brain speaks to you in symbols because words are too small to hold the truth of experience. Every night, the mind rewrites itself in a language only the heart can read. Outside, the world is quiet now. Your body lies still, but your brain glows with invisible constellations. Each spark a thought, a pulse, a whisper of life's electricity. If you could see it from space, your sleeping mind would look like a galaxy of fireflies, pulsing in slow, beautiful rhythm. Perhaps that's what the stars see when they look back. Reflections of themselves in the tiny universes we carry inside. In this moment, you are both dreamer and cosmos. The architecture of thought mirrors the structure of galaxies. The brain's filaments echo the web of the universe. And somewhere in that symmetry, a quiet truth. The same intelligence that shaped the stars shaped you. Breathe. You are not separate from the mysteries you study. You are their continuation. And as your neurons settle into their nighttime harmony, you drift toward the next question, not of the mind, but of what lies beyond it. The boundary between life and death, between signal and silence, between being and what remains. There is a hush that comes when the body grows still. A hush so complete that even time seems to hold its breath. Science can measure the heartbeat, track the fading waves of the brain. But what happens in that final moment, the instant awareness slips away? That remains one of existence's deepest enigmas. Death, by definition, is the end of biological function. Cells stop dividing, the heart no longer moves blood. Electrical activity fades. Yet, even here, mysteries bloom. Studies show that the brain does not stop all at once. In some cases, electrical surges occur seconds or even minutes after the final breath. Bursts of gamma waves, the same kind seen in intense dreaming or meditation. Some scientists think it's simply the brain's last flicker of chaos. Others wonder if it's something else. A final symphony of awareness as consciousness unthreads itself from the body. Imagine lying there in that borderland, neither alive nor gone. The senses dissolving, sound folding inward like waves returning to the sea. What would that moment feel like? Science cannot say. But many who have brushed close to it describe a pattern that repeats across cultures and centuries. A tunnel, a light, a sense of peace. These are the near-death experiences, accounts so consistent that they have become a field of study unto themselves. People who were clinically dead for minutes. No heartbeat, no oxygen, no measurable brain activity. Return describing vivid scenes, floating above their bodies, meeting lost loved ones, or seeing landscapes of impossible beauty. Some recall knowledge they cannot explain. Others describe simply an overwhelming love. Skeptics suggest chemical illusions, the brain flooding itself with protective hormones as oxygen fades, creating euphoria to soften the end. And yet, some patients describe details they could not have physically seen. Machines in the room, words doctors said, even events outside the operating theater. Science listens carefully, measures, records, but never fully concludes. There is data, and there is mystery. Close your eyes. Imagine that final breath not as an ending, but as an expansion. A wave returning to the ocean that first birthed it. The atoms of your body have already died and been reborn countless times. Every 7 years, nearly every cell you own is replaced. You are a continual resurrection. Perhaps death is simply one more change of form. Physicists often remind us, nothing in the universe truly disappears. Energy transforms, matter recycles. Even light, once released, travels forever unless absorbed. You too are energy. And energy, as far as science can tell, does not die. It only changes its shape of being. You imagine your body dissolving into that transformation. Bones to dust, dust to soil, soil to grass, grass to air. In 1,000 years, your carbon may breathe again as a forest, in 1,000,000 as a star. The universe has always practiced reincarnation, whether we believe in it or not. But consciousness, that elusive flame, where does it go? Neuroscience says it ends when neurons cease to fire. Quantum physicists wonder if awareness might persist as information embedded in the fabric of space. A few even propose the OR-core theory, that consciousness arises from quantum processes inside microtubules within neurons, and that these quantum states could, in theory, decohere into the universe itself. It's controversial, speculative, but it suggests something haunting. That death may not destroy consciousness, only return it to its larger field. Across time and culture, humans have built bridges over that unknown. Ancient Egyptians believed the heart held the soul, weighed against a feather to determine worth. Tibetan monks spoke of bardo, the in-between state where the mind drifts through visions before rebirth. Even modern science, cautious as it is, acknowledges the persistence of one truth. The dying often report calm, not fear, as if the body itself knows how to let go. There's something poetic in that our cells, built from stars, understand the art of returning to them. Picture this, a candle flame touching another wick. The first flame goes out, but the light continues, reborn in new form. That is how many physicists describe the flow of energy, and perhaps consciousness itself. It doesn't vanish, it transfers. The study of death has become its own science now. Thanatology, they call it. Doctors monitor the dying brain, searching for measurable transitions. They find rhythmic waves even after the heart stops, evidence of residual coherence. The mind, it seems, takes its time to fade. Like a sunset, it lingers on the horizon. You imagine that horizon now? Soft, golden, where the self and the infinite blend together. The final thought is not fear, but acceptance. Because in every death, there is life waiting. In every ending, the seed of beginning. Consider the mushroom, breaking down fallen trees into fertile soil, the phoenix fern sprouting after fire. Even your own body will one day nourish something new. In that sense, nothing is lost, only rearranged. Science cannot measure meaning, but it can observe continuity. The atoms that form your eyes once burned inside ancient suns. Those same atoms will one day burn again. Perhaps death is simply the universe remembering itself. Breathe softly now. Feel your body as a collection of ancient stories, each cell an echo of something older than the earth. You are the dust of stars, the shimmer of oceans, the brief spark of awareness between eternities. You are what the universe feels like when it looks at itself. And as you rest, you sense the next mystery waiting, not in the end, but in what connects every life that has ever existed. The invisible web of instinct, empathy, and thought. The force that lets one being feel another's pain, or joy, or love. What is that connection made of? Where does it come from? That is where we drift next. into the unseen ties that bind minds together across bodies, species, and time. The night deepens, and still the mystery continues. Some mysteries do not live in stars or atoms, but in glances, in touch, in the quiet ache between people. Two hearts beating near each other begin to synchronize. Two strangers who speak gently often mirror one another's tone and posture without knowing. Across distance, twins sense when the other is in pain. Mothers wake seconds before their babies cry. Science observes these patterns, records the data, but cannot yet say how they happen. We are, by every physical measure, separate beings, yet something in us insists we are not. Something invisible threads through our species like light through glass. Emotion, empathy, resonance. It is a fabric of humanity, woven through biology and mystery alike. In laboratories, scientists study the mirror neurons that activate when we watch another move, laugh, or cry. These cells fire not only when we act, but when we witness, allowing us to feel what another feels. It's a neural echo, one mind reflected in another. Through it, compassion becomes possible. Pain shared becomes understood. And when entire crowds cheer or weep together, it's these same signals harmonizing across countless brains. A collective chord of emotion. Imagine sitting near a campfire as it crackles beneath the stars. Around you, faces glow in the same light. You don't need to speak to feel connected. Your breathing aligns, your hearts slow in unison. That ancient warmth, physical, emotional, chemical, is one of humanity's oldest medicines. Science calls it interpersonal resonance. But in truth, it is the same pulse that once kept tribes alive and now keeps lovers awake in silence. Deep in your body, another system responds. The vagus nerve, a wandering thread that links your brain to your heart, lungs, and gut. It governs calm, empathy, and trust. When you hear a kind voice, it releases oxytocin, softening your pulse. When someone listens to you with genuine attention, your vagus nerve quiets the storm of stress hormones. The body itself recognizes safety through connection long before the mind does. It's why kindness feels like medicine, because it literally is. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine someone you love. Feel the warmth that rises with their memory. A soft expansion in the chest, a quiet smile forming on your lips. That feeling is not metaphor. It's chemistry, electricity, light. A symphony of neurons releasing signals that ripple through your bloodstream. Science can track the molecules, but not the meaning behind them. We do not yet understand why one person's presence can feel like sunlight, why another's absence can echo like a cave. Perhaps emotion is not just in the brain, but in the space between two people. A shared field that both create, like two instruments vibrating to the same unseen note. Some physicists go further, suggesting that consciousness itself may be entangled. That once two minds interact, their quantum states intertwine, subtly influencing each other across time and distance. It's only theory, but it echoes something ancient. The belief that hearts can speak across silence. Picture two violins tuned to the same pitch. Pluck one string, and the other hums in sympathy. No contact, no words, only resonance. Perhaps human connection is like that. Vibration without touch. Science sees evidence of this in subtle ways. Electrocardiograms of couples sitting quietly together show heartbeats that begin to sync. Brain scans of close friends show similar patterns when they think of each other. Even plants, growing near one another, adjust their chemical rhythms through air and root. It seems nature favors harmony wherever awareness exists. This shared resonance reaches far beyond the personal. It builds cultures, languages, art. When you listen to music that moves you, your neurons mirror the emotion of its creator. Across centuries, through ink or sound, one consciousness touches another. A dialogue through time. The composer long gone, yet their emotion still alive in your pulse. There is a scientific name for this miracle: information persistence. But that word is too cold for what it really means. It means that beauty survives. It means that human feeling can outlive the body that made it. Now, imagine standing in a crowd, a concert, a protest, a celebration. Thousands of voices rise together, and for a moment, the boundary between I and we disappears. You are not a single note, but part of a chorus. That sensation of belonging is not an illusion. Neuroscience calls it collective effervescence, the heightened emotion that emerges when individuals share intention. It releases endorphins, increases tolerance, strengthens trust. The mind, it seems, was never designed for isolation. It was built for connection. Even solitude, when it heals, does so through the memory of others. The comfort you feel when you recall someone's kindness is connection echoing across time. A neural imprint of care that the brain replays when needed most. Science has found that recalling love activates the same regions as receiving it. The brain cannot tell the difference. To remember love is to feel it again. And then there are the moments that defy all explanation. You think of someone and moments later, they call. You dream of an event before it happens. Coincidence, perhaps. Or something deeper. Some hidden current of mind linking one awareness to another. It may never be proven, but the mystery itself is worth keeping. It reminds us that the unseen world may be richer than we imagine. Empathy, compassion, intuition. These are the bridges by which consciousness explores itself. Through them, the universe becomes self-aware in ways no equation can capture. You are both the observer and the observed, feeling your own reflection in others. Breathe softly. Let that idea settle in you like quiet music. You are not an island. You are a wave on the same sea that carries all living minds. Your thoughts ripple outward, touching others in ways you will never fully see. Kindness, it turns out, is not a moral rule. It's physics. Energy passed forward, multiplied through empathy, returned in harmony. Outside your window, the night continues its slow conversation. Somewhere, a heartbeat answers yours. Somewhere, another mind dreams of the same sky. We are all entangled in the same great experiment, the universe trying to know itself through connection. The mystery of life is not that we exist, but that we do not exist alone. And as that thought drifts into stillness, you sense the next question waiting on the horizon. Not about people, but the consciousness of the living world beyond humanity. The minds that bloom, swim, and fly. And the intelligence that moves through all life, quietly watching, quietly aware. The journey continues. The earth breathes. And so do you. The night hums softly outside. Somewhere in the dark, wings move through air without sound. A bat senses the world by listening to its own voice bounce off the unseen. A whale speaks in songs that can travel hundreds of miles beneath the sea. An octopus changes color to express a mood, a kind of underwater poetry written in living ink. Everywhere around us, consciousness whispers in languages we have not yet learned to translate. For centuries, humans believed thought belonged to us alone, that only our species could reason, remember, or plan. But science, listening closely, has begun to hear otherwise. A crow bending a wire into a hook to retrieve food, a dolphin recognizing itself in a mirror, a chimp teaching her child to use tools, even a humble bee solving puzzles and communicating directions through his dance. These are not tricks. They are glimpses of other minds, distinct, complex, and profoundly alive. Close your eyes and imagine the world through their senses. To a dog, the air is a library. Every molecule tells a story. Who passed, what they felt, where they went. Their olfactory world is layered and vast, an invisible symphony we cannot perceive. To a migratory bird, the Earth's magnetic field glows faintly in the sky. A compass painted in colors we will never see. To a dolphin, the ocean is filled with echoes, each sound painting a three-dimensional portrait of space. Every creature experiences a different reality, and together, they form the planet's collective perception. Science calls this the Umwelt, a term for each organism's unique sensory world. We do not live in the same reality as the crow or the whale. We share the same planet, but not the same experience of it. And still, somehow, our realities overlap enough for empathy to form. Perhaps that overlap, that shared curiosity, is what we call connection. In the deep forests of Gabon, chimpanzees perform strange dances at waterfalls, swaying and clapping in rhythmic trance. No feeding, no fighting, no purpose we can measure. Jane Goodall once watched them and wondered if it was worship, a primal awe in the face of beauty and power. Science does not use that word, but it cannot deny the behavior. Perhaps emotion, wonder, even art run deeper than language. In the oceans, whales sing songs that shift slowly over years, entire species changing melody together across vast distances. Humpbacks off Hawaii echo phrases that later appear in Australia. Patterns ripple through thousands of miles of water. No one knows how they synchronize or what their songs mean. But recordings reveal structure, rhythm, even something like rhyme. It may be the oldest music on Earth. And then there are the octopuses, creatures with 3 hearts, blue blood, and intelligence so alien it rewrites what thinking can mean. Each of their 8 arms has its own network of neurons, capable of independent thought. An octopus does not think in a single place. It thinks everywhere at once. It solves mazes, recognizes faces, escapes aquariums, and sometimes, inexplicably, plays. In captivity, they have been seen collecting bottle caps, building shelters from coconut shells, and even squirting water at humans who annoy them. Their awareness feels theatrical, mischievous, ancient. Some neuroscientists suggest that if consciousness evolved twice, once in humans, once in octopuses, then mind itself may be a fundamental property of life. You imagine one now, gliding through coral shadow. Its skin ripples with color, a language of pattern and pulse. When frightened, it becomes stone. When curious, it blooms with blue. Its eyes, strange and familiar, look back at you as though asking, "Are you sure you're the only one who dreams?" Above the ocean, birds migrate by instinct we still cannot explain. Tiny Arctic terns navigate from pole to pole with no maps, no guidance. crossing distances that dwarf the span of human travel. Sea turtles return to the exact beach where they were born, guided by magnetic memory. Bees dance in spirals to tell their hive where flowers wait, a form of symbolic language millions of years older than writing. Even the humblest ant colony shows behavior eerily similar to collective intelligence. No leader, no command. And yet the colony adapts, defends, rebuilds, survives. We call these instincts, but perhaps instinct is just a form of knowledge too deep to explain. Somewhere in their cells, these creatures know the rhythm of Earth, its magnetism, its weather, its pulse. Science measures the patterns but cannot find the teacher. And then there are the elephants, grieving their dead, caressing bones with trunks, standing silent for hours in what looks unmistakably like mourning. Their brains, massive and complex, show patterns of empathy similar to our own. When an elephant mother loses her calf, others surround her in quiet support. When an old matriarch dies, her herd may travel miles to stand where she fell. We cannot read their thoughts, but the emotion needs no translation. It is written in the posture, the tears, the stillness. Somewhere between biology and mystery, emotion becomes universal language. It moves through mammals, birds, even fish. A rat laughs when tickled. A parrot invents new phrases to express frustration. Science once doubted these possibilities. Now it simply takes notes, humbled. Perhaps the line between human and animal was never a wall, but a mirror. We see ourselves reflected in the intelligence of others. And in doing so, we rediscover humility. We are not the only beings who feel or grieve or play. We are simply one expression of life among countless others. When you walk through the world with that awareness, the smallest motion becomes sacred. The ant carrying its crumb, the frog beneath the leaf, the whale's shadow passing in the deep. The planet is alive with minds, each one seeing from a different window of reality. And if intelligence is the universe's way of knowing itself, then Earth is already awake. Its awareness scattered among wings and fins and paws and roots. Somewhere in a jungle, a chimp dreams. Somewhere in the sea, a whale remembers. And somewhere in the quiet of your own mind, you realize that you too are part of this greater memory. One consciousness, many forms. Breathe slowly. The air that fills your lungs was once inside the body of another creature. Life recycles its breath endlessly. Every inhale is a handshake across time. Every exhale, a gift returned. The world dreams itself through you, through them, through everything that moves or grows. It is a single thought, wearing many faces. And as that realization deepens, you begin to sense another layer. A mystery not of life's variety, but of its beginnings. Where did awareness first spark? What moment transformed lifeless chemistry into this symphony of perception? That question drifts toward you like dawn. The next step in this journey through the unknown. The sea quiets, the stars wait, and the story continues. Before oceans formed, before skies turned blue, the world was a storm of fire and stone. The earth was young, molten, restless, wrapped in a haze of steam and lightning. No plants, no animals, not even the whisper of breath. And yet, within that chaos, something extraordinary was preparing to wake. Science calls this the primordial Earth. Roughly 4 billion years ago, volcanoes bled minerals into shallow seas. The atmosphere was thick with methane, carbon dioxide, and ammonia. Lightning flashed across dark skies, igniting the gases below. And somewhere in those electric storms, simple molecules began to combine in ways they never had before. We have recreated glimpses of that process in laboratories. In 1952, the Miller-Urey experiment proved that when you pass electric sparks through gases thought to mimic early Earth, you can create amino acids, the building blocks of proteins, and therefore the foundations of life. It was the first hint that chemistry could dream. Still, chemistry alone is not enough. Something must have organized those molecules, assembled them into patterns capable of copying themselves. That is where the great mystery begins. How inert matter became self-perpetuating, how chaos learned to remember itself. Some theories speak of hydrothermal vents deep beneath the sea, cracks in the Earth's crust where mineral-rich water gushes into darkness. Around those vents, the first cells may have formed, protected from the violent surface, feeding on chemical gradients of heat and metal. Even today, such vents are surrounded by strange ecosystems. Worms without mouths, crabs with white shells, bacteria that eat rock and breathe sulfur. Life, it seems, prefers the impossible. Other scientists suggest that the first spark may not have begun here at all. They call the idea panspermia, the possibility that life's ingredients arrived from space, carried on comets or meteorites, raining down onto a young Earth. We've found amino acids on meteor fragments and complex organic molecules drifting through interstellar dust. It's as if the universe itself sows the seeds of life wherever conditions allow. Imagine that first moment. A cluster of molecules floating in a warm tide pool. A chain of carbon and hydrogen learns to fold upon itself. It attracts others, forms a membrane, and suddenly there is inside and outside. Boundary, the first sign of identity. Within that boundary, replication begins. Not perfectly, not always, but often enough to continue. And with repetition comes evolution. We don't know if that moment took minutes or millions of years, but once it began, it never stopped. Every heartbeat, every leaf, every mind traces its ancestry back to that first whisper of self. It was not intelligent, not conscious, but it was alive. Close your eyes and picture it. A microscopic bubble trembling under the surface of an ancient ocean. Inside, molecules dance, collide, separate, join again. Heat rises from volcanic vents, stirring the broth of creation. Above, lightning flashes in silence. Below, chemistry begins to dream of continuity. It is the smallest spark, but it carries the weight of eternity. As centuries rolled into eons, these primitive forms grew more complex. They formed communities, colonies of cells that divided labor and shared energy. Eventually, one of them learned to capture sunlight, to turn light into food. Photosynthesis, the true dawn of life. The world began to breathe. The air filled with oxygen, oceans turned blue, and the sky cleared. The once toxic planet became a cradle of endless invention. From single cells came multicellular beings, sponges, worms, fish, trees, then the slow emergence of eyes that could see and brains that could wonder. It is staggering to imagine. For almost 90% of Earth's history, life was microscopic. The grandeur of forests, the majesty of animals, all recent phenomena, brief as sparks in the cosmic night. Yet, in those long ages of simplicity, something profound was taking shape. organization, cooperation, memory. The universe was building the architecture of awareness. Scientists have begun to explore how early cells might have communicated, how chemical signals evolved into primitive language. Bacteria today still exchange genetic material through plasmids, sharing survival traits like tiny libraries passed hand to hand. This is evolution's secret. It is not only competition, but collaboration. Life learns by sharing itself. From that sharing arose something new. Sensation. A cell that could detect light had an advantage. A creature that could sense motion, an edge. Over time, awareness deepened, a rudimentary knowing that rippled through flesh. The first perception was not thought, but reaction. A twitch, a turn, a choice to move toward or away. From such choices, all consciousness would one day grow. You can still feel that ancient awareness in your own body. When you pull your hand from flame before thought intervenes. When your heart races at sudden sound. When intuition speaks before reason forms words. That is the echo of primordial knowing, older than language, older than fear. In the grand timeline of evolution, consciousness is the universe waking up within matter. Each neuron, each spark, is a continuation of that first chemical flicker in the ocean. You are, in a literal sense, the self-awareness of ancient water. Consider this. The hydrogen in your blood was forged in the first stars. The carbon in your bones once drifted through space. And the oxygen in your lungs was exhaled by green algae billions of years ago. You are not separate from creation. You are its memory made flesh. The origin of life remains unsolved, and perhaps it always will be. Even if we could replicate it in a lab, the essence of it, that moment when matter begins to want, may forever escape definition. Desire, hunger, persistence. These are not easily reduced to physics. And maybe they shouldn't be. Mystery is the breath that keeps the universe alive. Without it, the story would end. Breathe deeply now. Feel the ancient tide in your veins. Every heartbeat echoes the first pulse of life. Every breath a continuation of the world's first inhale. In you, the earth remembers how to live. The stars above you are distant, but the light within you is older still. Born in fire, shaped by ocean, sustained by wonder. And as you rest in that thought, the next mystery calls, not of beginnings, but of the strange, flowing substance that carries all beginnings forward. Time. A river we cannot stop, only follow. Let it carry you. The journey continues. Time is the pulse of existence, the invisible current that turns the universe forward. Yet no one has ever truly seen it. We measure it with clocks, trace it with calendars, but we do not know what it is. We only feel its passage, like wind brushing across the surface of the mind. Physics tells us time began with the Big Bang, that space and time are not separate things, but one woven fabric called space-time. When mass bends that fabric, time slows. Near a black hole, minutes can stretch into centuries. In the vast emptiness between galaxies, it may rush ahead. To the universe, time is elastic. To us, it feels linear. And somewhere between those two truths lies the mystery of perception. Imagine standing in a field beneath a motionless sky. Around you, light moves at a constant speed, but your mind stitches those photons into a story. It tells you one thing happens after another, a beginning, a middle, an end. It creates sequence where the universe may see only simultaneity. Einstein once said, "The distinction between past, present, and future is only a stubbornly persistent illusion." According to relativity, every moment that has ever existed still exists. The past doesn't disappear. The future doesn't wait to be created. All moments coexist like frames in an endless film. Consciousness, then, may simply be the light that moves through them, one frame at a time, giving motion to eternity. Breathe softly. Picture time not as a line, but as an ocean. Each event is a wave, rising and falling, never separate from the whole. When you remember the past, your mind touches a different current, a place still alive within that sea. Neuroscience describes memory as chemical trace, but it behaves more like time travel. When you recall a moment, a scent, a face, a sound, your brain reactivates the same neural patterns that fired when it first occurred. The past doesn't return. You return to it. In that instant, yesterday exists again. But memory is fragile. It changes with every visit. Each recollection rewrites the story slightly, like waves reshaping the sand. This plasticity is both blessing and curse. It lets us heal, but it also reminds us that time is not fixed. It is rewritten by emotion, edited by love and loss. Sometimes, when the mind is quiet, in meditation, in deep flow, in awe, the sense of time disappears altogether. Minutes stretch into eternity, or hours vanish in a breath. Psychologists call it temporal distortion. But maybe it's not distortion at all. Maybe it's the natural state, the way the universe feels from the inside when we stop dividing it into moments. In physics, time and entropy are bound together. Entropy, the tendency of things to move from order to disorder, gives time its direction. A glass shatters, heat spreads, stars burn out. The past is what's already diffused, the future what's yet to unfold. If entropy were reversed, time might flow backward. But in our world, it only flows one way, toward increasing complexity, toward eventual stillness. And yet, life itself seems to resist that pull. Every heartbeat, every cell dividing, every thought. These are small rebellions against entropy. Life builds order out of chaos, moment by moment, defying the natural drift toward decay. In that sense, to live is to swim upstream through time. Now, breathe again, slow and steady. Imagine time not as an enemy, but as a companion. It carries you forward, even when you think you're standing still. Your body changes, your mind evolves. But within you, there is something that does not age. The witness. The silent awareness that has watched every version of you come and go. Perhaps that part exists outside time, like the still center of a spinning wheel. Modern physics explores strange concepts. Block universes, time crystals, retrocausality. Ideas where cause and effect might intertwine, where the future could influence the past. We don't yet know what these mean, only that the deeper we look, the less time behaves like the simple arrow we imagined. And beyond science, in human experience, time bends differently too. A joyful hour feels fleeting. A moment of pain can stretch forever. Our perception of time is emotional, not mathematical. It's shaped by attention. When we are fully present, time slows, not because clocks change, but because we finally do. Outside your window, the night is still moving, though you barely feel it. The earth spins eastward at 1,000 miles an hour. The moon pulls the oceans with ancient rhythm. The stars shift so slowly that you could watch your whole life and never see their pattern break. You are adrift in this motion, a traveler on a clock made of planets. And yet, for all its vastness, time remains personal. Every heartbeat marks a universe of its own. Each second you breathe is both the first and the last of its kind. There will never be another exactly like it. The illusion of continuity, that you are the same person from one day to the next, is a story the brain tells to navigate change. In truth, you are new with every dawn. The self is not a solid line, but a flickering film of consciousness, refreshed each moment. Perhaps that is what time really is. The universe learning to notice itself, 1 second at a time. And perhaps, beyond the flow we know, there exists a stillness where all things are already whole. A timeless state that some glimpse in deep meditation, others in love, others in the instant before sleep. A place where before and after dissolve, and only being remains. Let yourself rest in that stillness now. Let the weight of moments fade. There's nowhere to go, nothing to chase, only this breath, this soft, eternal now. Time continues without you needing to follow. The world turns, the stars move, the tide pulls quietly against the shore. You are carried, always, by the same gentle current. And as your awareness drifts along that current, another question surfaces about the world itself and how it weaves these threads of order and chaos together. Why does the universe create beauty at all? Why symmetry, music, pattern? What hidden rule makes reality so elegant? We turn to that mystery next. The mathematics of wonder, the geometry behind existence, and the strange harmony between science and beauty. The journey flows on. Look closely enough at anything, and a pattern begins to appear. Snowflakes, shells, galaxies, the curl of a fern, the spiral of a storm, the swirl of water down a drain. From the vast to the microscopic, the universe repeats itself, as if it remembers its own design. Science calls this self-similarity, but poets might call it recognition. Even chaos, when studied long enough, reveals order. Lightning forks follow fractal mathematics. Coastlines, clouds, the veins in your lungs, all obey the same geometry. It's as if nature writes in one endless script, and every living thing is a variation on the same equation. Take a moment and breathe into that realization. You are not separate from those patterns. Your heartbeat, your neural pathways, the spirals of your fingerprints, they all carry the same rhythm that moves through storms and galaxies. To study the world is to study yourself. The Greek philosopher Pythagoras believed that numbers were not inventions, but discoveries, truths already written into the universe. Centuries later, science seems to agree. From quantum physics to the flight of birds, from the spacing of planets to the formation of petals, numbers quietly shape reality. And somewhere between number and form lies beauty. Consider the Fibonacci sequence, a series where each number is the sum of the two before it. 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, and onward forever. This simple pattern appears everywhere, in the spiral of galaxies, in the curl of seashells, in the arrangement of sunflower seeds, even in the proportions of your own body. It's nature's favorite rhythm, a kind of mathematical breathing. Leonardo da Vinci called it the divine proportion. Modern scientists call it the golden ratio, roughly 1.618 to 1. Architects used it to build temples. Artists used it to frame faces. But nature was there first. long before humans measured it, plants and galaxies were already drawing the same spiral across time. It's not merely symmetry, it's harmony. The kind that feels right before we even understand why. You can see it in snowflakes too. Six-fold perfection forming as vapor freezes in midair. No two are identical, yet each follows the same rules of geometry. They are fleeting mathematics, tiny frozen proofs that order exists within chaos. Each one unique, each one temporary, like moments themselves. Physicists say the universe favors symmetry because it is efficient. Energy seeks balance, forces mirror one another. Matter and antimatter, north and south, spin and counterspin. But deep down, symmetry also seems to create beauty. Why? Perhaps because balance feels safe. Perhaps because it reminds us of ourselves, of our own need for harmony amid uncertainty. Breathe slowly. Imagine the spiral of a nautilus shell, its chambers widening in perfect proportion. Each section is both new and familiar, each a continuation of what came before. That is how nature builds, not by repetition, but by growth guided by memory. And that, in its essence, is what life is. Pattern seeking balance between stability and change. The mathematics of beauty extend even into sound. Music, at its heart, is numerical. Frequencies vibrate in ratios. An octave is a doubling of pitch, a fifth a ratio of 3, 2. When we hear these proportions, something in our nervous system relaxes. The body recognizes them, not through thought, but through resonance. Harmony is mathematics you can feel. Perhaps that's why the universe itself seems to hum. Astrophysicists have recorded vibrations from black holes, pressure waves rippling through galaxies, sound waves too deep for ears, yet measurable in space-time itself. The cosmos sings in gravity and light. You, in turn, are made of the same oscillations, your heartbeat, your brainwaves, your breath. You are both listener and note. Some thinkers call this the music of the spheres, an idea that every celestial body emits a frequency, and together, the universe forms a cosmic symphony. Modern instruments cannot translate it into human sound, but the principle endures. Where there is rhythm, there is life. Where there is pattern, there is meaning. Patterns also shape the invisible, the dance of electrons, the structure of DNA, the ripples of space-time. Einstein's equations, beautiful and spare, describe how gravity bends light, how time curves around mass. Physicists often speak of beauty as a guide. The more elegant an equation, the more likely it is to be true. It is as if reality itself prefers poetry. But beauty is not just symmetry. Sometimes it hides in imperfection. The Japanese call it wabi-sabi, the grace of things weathered, incomplete, transient. A cracked bowl that still holds tea, a faded leaf still glinting with morning dew. Science studies efficiency, but beauty teaches acceptance. That the broken can be more whole than what has never been touched by time. You are part of that same geometry, not perfectly aligned, but beautifully irregular. Your life does not spiral evenly. It loops, falters, corrects, and grows. And yet, from a distance, it still forms a pattern, a design only visible in hindsight, etched in choices and chances. Perhaps that is why we are drawn to patterns. They promise that chaos can hold meaning. They whisper that even the random has rhythm, that behind the noise there may be a song. It's the same promise we sense when we gaze at stars. their apparent randomness concealing constellations, stories written by our longing to see order in infinity. Breathe again. Feel the subtle alignment of your own being. Pulse, breath, thought, stillness, each following its own quiet mathematics. Even your dreams have pattern. Cycles of imagery, themes that return across years, symbols that echo between waking and sleep. You are a fractal of consciousness, mirroring the universe that made you. The hidden geometry of existence is not just around you, it is you. Every breath is a Fibonacci spiral in motion, every heartbeat a ratio, every thought a vibration. When you rest in harmony with that rhythm, you are the equation completing itself. Outside, the night sky turns silently, each star in orbit, each galaxy in its curve. The universe expands, and yet remains symmetrical enough to be beautiful. Science calls it structure. You might call it grace. And as you drift in that grace, a new question unfolds like a petal. If pattern and beauty are so deeply woven into the world, what gave rise to the laws that make them possible? Why does mathematics work at all? What dream does reality follow? That question will carry us onward, beyond geometry, into the laws that govern everything, and the mystery of why there are laws at all. The journey continues, and the patterns hum quietly beneath it all. The world you see around you seems solid, predictable, obedient to rules. You drop a stone, it falls. You light a fire, it burns. But beneath those everyday truths lies a strange and silent machinery. A web of laws written in the language of mathematics, so precise that the same equations describe falling apples and orbiting moons. Still, no one knows why those laws exist at all. The universe could have been chaos, a storm of ungoverned motion. Yet, from its first instant, it followed order. Forces balancing in exquisite proportion. Too much gravity, and everything would have collapsed. Too little, and nothing would have formed. Something fine-tuned the cosmos into possibility. Scientists call it the anthropic principle. The observation that the universe's constants are precisely what they must be for life to arise. Change any one of them, even slightly, and existence as we know it dissolves. Whether that is coincidence, design, or inevitability remains the ultimate question. At the foundation of all matter lie four fundamental forces: gravity, electromagnetism, the strong nuclear force, and the weak. Each governs a different layer of creation, from galaxies spinning to atoms binding. Yet despite their power, they obey elegant symmetry, as if born from a single origin. Physicists have spent decades trying to weave them together into one equation: the theory of everything. A formula that would explain not only how reality works, but why it exists at all. They came close. Einstein sought it until his final breath, scribbling equations that reached toward unity. Today, others continue the search through quantum mechanics and general relativity. Two pillars of modern physics that describe the very large and the very small, but refuse to agree with each other. It's as though the universe speaks two dialects of the same language, and humanity has not yet learned to translate between them. In the quantum world, certainty vanishes. Particles exist in clouds of probability. An electron can be here, there, or both until you look. Only observation collapses possibility into reality. This is the observer effect, a paradox suggesting that consciousness might play a role in shaping the world. Is the universe waiting to be seen before it decides what to be? Or do we simply tune into one version of what was always there? Science doesn't yet know, and perhaps it never will. Imagine standing in that quantum sea. Every atom of your body flickers between being and not being, wave and particle, presence and potential. It is not solid, but a shimmering field of probabilities, constantly reassembling itself around the focus of your perception. Reality, at its core, behaves less like a machine and more like a dream. Then there is the enigma of entanglement. Two particles born together remain connected, no matter how far apart they drift. Change one, and the other responds instantly, as if distance doesn't exist. Einstein called it spooky action at a distance, a phrase that carried both wonder and discomfort. Experiments confirm it again and again. Something beneath space itself links all things. Perhaps the universe is not made of matter, but of relationships, a network of information shimmering in unity. If that's true, then the cosmos may be more like a thought than a thing. Information, not particles, not waves, could be the fundamental substance of reality. Everything that exists might be data, and consciousness the software reading it. Some physicists call this the holographic principle, the idea that the universe is a projection, a vast three-dimensional image encoded on a distant surface. To the mind, it sounds mystical. To mathematics, it sounds possible. Perhaps the boundary between science and spirit was never a wall, but a circle returning to itself. Even the most advanced instruments can't reach the smallest scale. At the Planck length, a fraction so small it defies comprehension, the smooth fabric of space-time begins to tremble. Geometry dissolves into foam. Energy flickers in and out of existence. This is the quantum edge of reality, the place where our equations fall silent. Beyond it, the laws we know simply stop working. Close your eyes. Picture that foam, a restless ocean of creation bubbling with virtual particles that appear and vanish faster than thought. From that froth, entire universes could arise. Some cosmologists suggest that ours is just one among many, a single bubble in an infinite multiverse. Each bubble might have its own laws of physics, its own constants, its own forms of life and consciousness. If that is true, then every possible version of existence may already be unfolding somewhere, right now. And yet, even if infinite worlds exist, the question remains, why anything at all? Why should there be laws, or light, or life, instead of nothing? Philosophers call it the ultimate mystery, the question that makes all others possible. Some propose that reality exists because it can, others that consciousness itself demands expression, and the universe is its answer. There is no proof, only the quiet sense that meaning is somehow built into the mechanism. Even chaos obeys mathematics. Even randomness has rules. The dice roll, but probability governs their fall. Perhaps the laws of physics are not separate from wonder, but another way of describing it. Breathe slowly now. You are surrounded by these laws, the pull of gravity anchoring you, the warmth of electromagnetism in your blood, the quantum fields humming through every atom of your body. You are not a spectator of physics. You are physics, thinking about itself. You are the equation learning to read its own handwriting. And somewhere between those thoughts, in that still space of awareness, another mystery begins to shimmer. One that transcends equations and enters emotion, the mystery of meaning itself. Why do we long for purpose? Why do beauty, love, and awe exist in a universe that could have been indifferent? The next part of our journey drifts into that question. Beyond matter and math, into the interior universe, the realm of feeling, imagination, and soul. The stars turn, the laws hold, and still, the heart dreams beyond them. Meaning is not written in the stars. It grows quietly in the space between awareness and wonder. The moment you look at the night sky and feel something more than curiosity. Science explains how stars form. Meaning explains why their light feels like home. From the perspective of physics, the universe has no preference, no plan. It simply is, expandus, cooling, repeating its patterns across eternity. And yet, within that neutrality, consciousness arose, and with it came the hunger to matter. Every thought, every question, every work of art is the cosmos turning toward itself and asking, why? Some scientists call this search for meaning an evolutionary trick, a byproduct of intelligence, a way to survive through motivation and story. But if survival were the only goal, why would we crave beauty? Why would we write music, paint galaxies on cave walls, or weep at sunsets? These acts do not prolong life. They enrich it. They are life's way of celebrating itself. You are part of that celebration, a self-aware pattern of stardust wondering about its own design. Every idea you've ever had, every hope you've ever carried, is matter briefly imagining eternity. Close your eyes. Think of a moment when you felt awe, not excitement, but stillness. That quiet breath when the world seems larger than explanation. Perhaps it was the sea, or a child's laughter, or music that felt like prayer. That feeling, wordless, expansive, is the closest thing science has ever found to meaning. Neuroscientists studying awe find that it dissolves the boundaries of the self. Brain scans show reduced activity in regions linked to ego. Time slows. The body releases oxytocin and serotonin. We feel connected, humble, and yet infinite. Meaning, it seems, arises not from control, but from surrender, from realizing we are part of something vast and continuous. The philosopher Viktor Frankl, who survived the unthinkable, once wrote that meaning is not something we invent, but something we discover. Like light, it is already there. We need only to turn toward it. Even in suffering, meaning can emerge, not because pain is noble, but because consciousness transforms it into understanding. That is humanity's quiet genius, to take chaos and make it sing. You see it everywhere. In the nurse who holds a stranger's hand, in the artist who paints through grief, in the scientist who spends decades chasing a single equation. Purpose is not found in perfection. It is born in the act of reaching. Meaning lives in movement, in curiosity, in empathy, in creation. When you wonder, you participate in the universe's own unfolding. When you love, you reaffirm that existence, despite its vast indifference, can still be kind. Some philosophers call this the participatory universe, the idea that the cosmos requires observers to complete it. That reality is not finished until someone experiences it. Perhaps meaning, then, is the universe's way of knowing itself through feeling, just as physics is its way of knowing through form. Two mirrors facing each other, one made of matter, the other of mind. Imagination is the bridge between them. It is the power that lets consciousness reshape reality, turning stone into story, data into dream. Without imagination, science would have no hypotheses, and art would have no wings. It is the laboratory of the unseen. You can feel imagination at work even now, that gentle current of images behind thought. Your brain lights up in the same patterns, whether you see something or imagine it. In a sense, imagination is rehearsal for creation, the mind sculpting the future before it arrives. Every invention, every love, every discovery was first a vision in someone's inner universe. Perhaps that is the true gift of awareness, to dream forward, to paint tomorrow before it happens, to bring into being what did not exist until you desired it. Breathe softly. You are a storyteller made of atoms, writing meaning into a world that otherwise knows none. When you speak, your breath moves molecules. When you imagine, your neurons dance in quantum storms. You are both instrument and musician, both question and answer. In the quiet chambers of the mind, purpose often appears not as certainty, but as resonance, a feeling that something fits, that some action or idea vibrates in tune with what feels true. That resonance is your compass. Follow it, and you move in rhythm with the larger design. Even science, when it reaches its limits, finds itself speaking the language of poetry. When physicists describe beauty in equations, they are describing meaning, a harmony between human thought and universal truth. When mathematicians say a theory is elegant, they mean it fits the world in a way that feels inevitable. Meaning is not decoration, it is alignment. Perhaps meaning is not something we search for, but something we remember. The echo of unity still humming inside the fragments of existence. We sense it in love, in music, in the small miracles of daily kindness. It is the gravity that holds consciousness together. Outside, the night deepens. Somewhere, the moon reflects sunlight across a dark sea, turning cold physics into quiet beauty. Meaning, like moonlight, is borrowed light. It does not shine by itself, but reflects something eternal. Breathe again. You are not separate from that light. Every act of wonder you feel feeds the same ancient flame that burned when the first mind looked up and asked why. Meaning is the universe waking up and realizing that it can care. And as that realization settles into silence, another mystery waits, not of mind or physics, but of feeling itself. The strange, unmeasurable force that gives life its pulse, emotion, intuition, the music of the heart. That is where we drift next. The stars may be distant, but the heart is its own constellation. And it too burns with secrets science cannot yet name. Some truths cannot be reasoned. They can only be felt. Before language, before logic, there was sensation, warmth, fear, tenderness, awe. Emotion came first. It guided creatures long before a first mind ever spoke its name. Even now, beneath all thought, the body still listens to that ancient language. Science can measure the chemicals, dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, but it cannot define the glow of joy or the ache of love or the stillness of acceptance. Those are more than molecules. They are the quiet handwriting of life itself. Every emotion you feel begins in the body, the heart, the gut, the breath. They respond before the mind can interpret. Researchers call it interoception, the body sensing its own state, translating chemistry into feeling. It is your oldest form of awareness. Long before thought, you knew through pulse. Consider this. The heart sends more information to the brain than the brain sends back. Electrical signals from the heart influence perception, decision-making, even intuition. When you say, "I knew it in my heart," you are not speaking in metaphor. You are describing biology. The HeartMath Institute has found that the heart generates the strongest rhythmic electromagnetic field in the body, thousands of times stronger than the brain's. It changes with emotion and can synchronize with the fields of others nearby. When people share empathy or affection, their heart rhythms can literally align. Connection, it seems, begins with resonance, not words. Close your eyes for a moment. Place a hand on your chest. Feel the steady rhythm beneath your palm. That beat began before you were born, and it has never stopped. It contracts, relaxes, contracts again. Not because you will it to, but because life wills itself through you. Every pulse is an affirmation. I am still here. Emotions are not weaknesses, they are data. They tell you where meaning lives, what matters, what must change or be cherished. Fear warns, anger protects, joy expands, grief honors, love connects. Each emotion is a compass pointing toward the shape of your truth. Psychologists once believed that emotions were irrational, obstacles to reason. Now we know they are essential to it. Patients with brain injuries that blunt emotion can no longer make simple decisions. Without feeling, logic has no anchor. Emotion gives thought its weight, its direction, its humanity. Breathe deeply. Let the air move through your lungs, through the rhythm of your heart. That rhythm is communication. Your body speaking the oldest language in the world. Even across species, emotion crosses barriers. A dog understands affection not through words, but through tone and touch. A whale's song carries empathy across miles of ocean. Trees, when wounded, release chemicals that warn their neighbors. The language of feeling runs through the biosphere like current through wire. It is how life recognizes life. And then there is intuition. The quiet whisper beneath logic, the flash of knowing before reason catches up. Neuroscience suggests that intuition is pattern recognition moving faster than thought, the brain processing experience below awareness. But that definition, while true, feels incomplete. For intuition often arrives not as calculation, but as calm. It is less thinking and more remembering. Perhaps intuition is the mind listening to the intelligence of the heart. For the heart feels first, and the brain interprets later. In moments of real clarity, when you sense truth without needing proof, it may be both speaking at once. Love, too, is a form of knowing. Not blind, not naive, but precise in its own way. It perceives the unseen, believes in what cannot yet be measured. Science can map attraction, trace hormones, chart neural reward pathways. But love remains more than survival or reproduction. It is the universe learning to care for itself through you. Every act of love, between parent and child, between friends, between strangers, is a small defiance of entropy. It gathers, repairs, unites. In love, the self expands beyond the body, beyond time. It dissolves separation, like waves merging into ocean. Imagine two people embracing in silence. Their breathing synchronizes, their hearts slow together. For a few seconds, the line between them blurs. They are not two systems, but one. That, perhaps, is what the universe feels when anything connects. And yet love is not always gentle. It can wound, for it demands openness. To love is to allow loss. But even grief is a continuation of love, a form of devotion, that persists after presence fades. To grieve is to keep the bond alive in absence. It is love's echo, still reverberating through time. The poet Rilke once wrote, "For one human being to love another, that is the most difficult of all our tasks. Difficult and also divine. Through it, we practice being infinite in a finite world. We learn the art of giving without measure, and in doing so, we mirror the generosity of creation itself. Your heart beats again, steady, patient. It does not rush to understand. It simply continues, a rhythm older than your thoughts, carrying you through the changing tides of emotion. Every heartbeat says the same thing. Keep going, keep feeling, keep becoming. Outside, the world hums with that same quiet pulse. Waves rolling, wind breathing through leaves, 1,000 heartbeats hidden in the dark. All connected, all part of the same great circulation. Perhaps emotion is not a distraction from reason, but its completion. Perhaps love, intuition, awe. These are the senses of the soul, evolved to perceive what the eyes cannot. And perhaps, when science has measured all that can be measured, what will remain is feeling. The heartbeat of the cosmos, still speaking through us. Breathe once more. The pulse steadies and the mind softens around it. In the language of emotion, you are fluent without effort. And as the heartbeat fades into stillness, a new mystery begins to rise. The one that moves through the night sky and within your own thoughts alike. The force that binds the great and the small, matter and memory, life and light, energy itself. The journey continues, and the universe, still humming, waits to be felt again. Everything moves. Even in stillness, the world trembles with motion too small to see. Atoms vibrate, electrons spin, galaxies drift apart through the slow exhale of creation. From the heartbeat in your chest to the light spilling from distant stars, everything is the same thing in disguise. Energy, changing form. Einstein once wrote it as a simple equation, E equals sine mc2. Energy and matter are one. Mass is simply energy slowed down enough to take shape. Energy is matter set free. In every grain of sand, in every cell of your body, the power of suns sleeps quietly. When you lift your hand, the force that binds galaxies hums through your bones. Close your eyes and imagine it. The atoms within you once belonged to stars, collapsed, exploded, scattered, reborn. Their light crossed billions of years to arrive here, reassembled into a single human breath. You are the cosmos made kinetic. You are starlight in motion. Physics says energy can neither be created nor destroyed. It only transforms, heat into motion, motion into sound, sound into thought. Even when something ends, its energy continues, traveling onward in a form we no longer recognize. In that sense, nothing truly dies. It only changes costume. You feel that principle in every sunrise. The sun burns 4 million tons of hydrogen each second, turning mass into light. That light travels 8 minutes across the void, touches Earth, and becomes life. Warming your skin, fueling green leaves, feeding oceans. Energy becomes growth. Growth becomes movement. Movement becomes awareness. And eventually, awareness looks back toward the sun and whispers, "Thank you." Even breath is energy exchanging form. Oxygen becoming motion, carbon returning to air, heat rising from skin. With every inhale, you borrow the universe. With every exhale, you return it. Breathe in slowly now. Feel that quiet reciprocity, the rhythm that underlies existence. Energy doesn't belong to anyone. It circulates endlessly, shared by all things. The warmth in your chest was once the heat of volcanic rock, the chemical spark of ancient trees, the fire of a forgotten star. Deep beneath your awareness, every atom of you hums. Each particle vibrates in endless dance, not touching, yet never apart. Quantum mechanics calls it a field, a vast ocean of potential energy where particles are simply ripples on its surface. Everything you see, from mountains to thoughts, is that same ocean expressing itself as different waves. And yet, for all its endless movement, energy is balanced. The total energy of the universe appears to be exactly zero, matter's mass balanced perfectly by gravity's pull. Existence itself may be equilibrium, a great equation equal on both sides, something and nothing woven into harmony. Imagine light itself, the purest expression of motion. Photons travel at the cosmic speed limit, unchanged by time. From their perspective, a journey of 1 billion years happens in no time at all. They leave a star and arrive instantly, untouched by decay. Light is the universe's message to itself, written across eternity. When you look up at the night sky, you are seeing those messages. Old light, ancient energy, still traveling, still alive. Some of the stars you see have already burned out, yet their light remains. Proof that presence can outlast existence. Perhaps memory works the same way. Perhaps every act of kindness, every word of love, continues traveling outward long after its source is gone. Energy turned invisible, but not lost. In the human body, energy moves through subtler forms as well. Neural impulses flash at lightning speed, chemical reactions ignite thought, electric rhythms pulse through the heart. Traditional medicine calls it chi, prana, spirit. Science calls it bioelectricity. Different names for the same current, the movement of charge that animates life. When you stand barefoot on the ground, you complete a circuit, your body exchanging electrons with the earth. This is not poetry, it's physics. You are part of a planetary loop of charge and magnetism, a small conduit in the planet's endless current. Perhaps that's why stillness feels grounding, because in those moments, you are literally reconnecting to the global heartbeat. Energy also flows through emotion. A word spoken in anger can ignite fires miles away. A gesture of kindness can ripple through generations. Human energy fields, measured faintly by magnetometers, change with intention and emotion. Whether through physics or empathy, one thing remains true. What you emit, you magnify. The universe may run on equations, but the way you move through it changes the quality of its motion around you. Science calls it causality. The soul calls it karma. Both describe the same law of exchange, energy given, energy received. Some physicists suggest that even consciousness itself might be a form of energy, organized information vibrating through neural fields. If that's so, then thought too travels forever. Every idea leaves a trace in the invisible network of existence. And perhaps, in some unfathomable way, the universe remembers everything it has ever imagined. Breathe once more. Let your breath be a tide. Each inhale, creation. Each exhale, release. This is the universe's rhythm. Expansion and contraction, birth and return. Light and shadow, motion and rest. The cosmic heartbeat, echoing in every galaxy, in every lung. Outside, the stars burn silently, their light crossing unthinkable distance. Inside, neurons glow in smaller constellations, each firing its own spark of thought. From the scale of galaxies to the scale of cells, the story is the same. Energy seeking balance, creation seeking continuation. In this moment, you are a single note in that vast symphony, a wave traveling across the eternal sea of motion. The universe breathes through you and you through it. And as the rhythm slows, another mystery rises, not of energy itself, but of the delicate home that gathers it, balances it, and sustains it. Earth, our living planet, the blue heart of the cosmos. That is where we drift next. To the mystery of balance, the fragile harmony that allows all things to be. The journey flows onward. The light does not end. It only changes form. From far away, Earth looks perfectly calm. A small blue circle wrapped in white cloud, turning slowly in the black sea of space. But beneath that serenity, millions of systems are in constant motion. Oceans breathing, forests exchanging gases, winds carrying heat and memory across continents. Every second, these movements hold a fragile equilibrium. The planet does not stand still. It balances. The Earth's crust shifts in tectonic rhythm. Its molten core spins like a slow heart, forging the magnetic field that shields us from the sun's fire. Volcanoes exhale carbon. Mountains inhale it back through stone and rain. Rivers carve and replenish. Life does not exist on Earth. It exists with it. Science calls this interconnected dance the Earth system, a vast feedback loop linking air, water, rock, and life. When one part moves, the rest adjusts. Clouds form to cool, forests grow to breathe, the sea absorbs, then releases. The system is endlessly self-correcting until something shifts too fast for it to keep up. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine watching the planet from orbit. You see the auroras glowing at its poles, curtains of light shimmering where charged particles meet atmosphere. They're more than beauty. They're protection, proof of Earth's living shield. You notice weather patterns spiraling across oceans like slow galaxies made of vapor. You see forests flicker in daylight, the pulse of photosynthesis visible even from space. The planet looks alive because it is. Every leaf, every wave, every breath of wind participates in the same conversation. When the Amazon releases oxygen, oceans answer by absorbing carbon. When deserts lift dust, it feeds rainforests across the sea. Africa's sand becomes the Amazon's soil. The Sahara and the jungle speak through wind. And then there is water, the great traveler. It evaporates, condenses, falls, flows, freezes, and returns. Each drop may have circled the globe 1,000 times, been river, cloud, glacier, and tear. The same water that falls on your skin tonight may have once cooled the backs of dinosaurs or quenched the roots of ancient trees. It carries memory. It carries balance. Earth's climate has always changed. Ice ages and greenhouses, extinctions and blooms. But now the change has a new rhythm, one faster than the old patterns can follow. Human hands have tilted the balance, and the system strains to find equilibrium again. Science records it in numbers, degrees, parts per million, centimeters of rise. But beneath those figures is a deeper truth. The planet is speaking, and we are part of its sentence. The atmosphere, once a gentle blanket, thickens with carbon. Oceans grow warmer, coral bleaching into bone-white silence. Forests shift their boundaries. Creatures move toward the poles, chasing the climates they remember. Yet, amid the uncertainty, life continues its quiet genius, adapting, reshaping, surviving, always searching for balance. Nature's intelligence is persistence. A burned forest grows back differently, more resistant, more resilient. A coral reef damaged by heat can recover when currents cool again. Life never stops rewriting itself. And perhaps that is its answer to entropy. To rebuild endlessly, to continue even when continuation seems impossible. Breathe gently. Feel the air moving in and out, a small reflection of the planet's larger rhythm. Each inhale is a borrowing from forests and plankton, each exhale a gift returned. The exchange is perfect when left undisturbed. It is a partnership, a promise of coexistence. To care for Earth is to care for the breath that sustains you. You are not above the system. You are the system. Scientists now speak of the Anthropocene, a new epoch defined by human impact. For the first time, one species reshapes the geology of an entire planet. The question that lingers is not whether Earth will survive. It will. But what kind of home it will become? Whether it remains a cradle or becomes a warning written in stone. And yet, hope is not gone. The same intelligence that built machines can plant forests. The same hands that mined can mend. The same curiosity that split atoms can learn to heal the balance they disturbed. The Earth does not demand perfection, only remembrance. That we are made of her and will return to her. There is wisdom in the soil. Every handful holds billions of microbes, building the foundation for all that grows. They turn decay into nourishment, waste into renewal. In their quiet work is the lesson of the planet. Nothing is wasted. Everything belongs. Listen closely, and you can hear that rhythm everywhere. In rain tapping on rooftops, in the waves repeating their long, patient dialogue with shore. It is the same rhythm in your chest. Perhaps the Earth is not separate from you at all, but the larger body of which you are one cell. And like any living organism, when one cell remembers its purpose, the body heals. Outside, night softens the horizon. Wind carries scent from the ocean, whispering through branches. Every sound, every motion, a reminder that balance is never stillness. It is constant adjustment, a dance that never ends. And we are part of the choreography. Breathe once more. The air you draw in has crossed mountains, cities, oceans. It connects you to everything that lives. In this breath, you are both the question and the answer, the Earth thinking itself alive. As that thought settles, the journey deepens again. From the balance of the planet to the vast stage that holds it all, the cosmos itself, and the strange question that lingers in its silence. What lies beyond the horizon of what we can know? That is where we drift next. Beyond the cradle of Earth, into the mystery of infinity. The night waits, and the stars listen. The farther you drift from home, the quieter everything becomes. Above the whisper of wind and the pulse of atmosphere, space begins. Vast, cold, immeasurable. And yet, within that stillness, something is always moving. Galaxies spinning, stars being born, time itself stretching. Infinity, it seems, is not emptiness. It is potential, unending and alive. Astronomers estimate there are more stars in the universe than grains of sand on all the world's beaches. Each one is a sun, many with planets circling in secret, some perhaps carrying oceans, clouds, and questions of their own. The night sky you see is a frozen photograph of ancient light. Each point a story so old it may already have ended. To gaze upward is to look backward in time. The stars are fossils of brightness. The universe is still expanding. Space itself stretches like fabric being woven, and the galaxies, carried along, drift farther apart. The farther they go, the faster they flee, as if driven by an invisible wind. Cosmologists call this dark energy, a mysterious pressure that makes the universe accelerate instead of slowing down. No one knows what it is. It fills the cosmos, yet cannot be seen, cannot be touched, only inferred from the way galaxies move. It is the most powerful thing in existence, and it hides in silence. Then there is dark matter, equally invisible, equally strange. It neither emits nor absorbs light, yet its gravity binds galaxies together, holding stars in their spirals like pearls on invisible thread. Without it, the cosmos would tear itself apart. We live surrounded by it, immersed in its unseen presence, and yet, after decades of searching, we have never detected a single particle. The universe is 95% mystery, and only 5% what we can see. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine drifting through that darkness, a sea not of water, but of possibility. Stars hum in frequencies beyond hearing. Space-time ripples softly with gravitational waves. The vacuum, though empty, is never still. Virtual particles appear and vanish faster than thought. A cosmic heartbeat beneath all silence. Even nothing is full. At the very beginning, when the universe was younger than a blink, it expanded faster than light. Physicists call this cosmic inflation. Some theories suggest that it never stopped. That inflation continues beyond our horizon, creating new universes endlessly, each with its own laws, its own constants, its own story. They call this the multiverse, a sea of infinite worlds, each one a different version of what it would be. In one, gravity might be stronger. In another, stars never form. In another still, you are reading this sentence under a different sky. It sounds like science fiction, but the math whispers otherwise. Quantum theory, cosmology, and chaos all hint at infinities folded within infinities. Our universe may not be the universe, but a single bubble in an endless foam, each bubble birthing others in an eternal cascade of creation. If that is true, then everything possible already exists somewhere. Every choice, every dream, every version of you. And yet, the multiverse offers no comfort, only humility. It reminds us that what we call reality may be one thread in a tapestry too vast to see. Even time itself might flow differently elsewhere, or not at all. Physicists now explore the idea of extra dimensions, hidden layers folded beyond perception. We live in 3 dimensions of space and 1 of time, but string theory suggests there may be 10 or 11, curled tightly within the smallest particles, like music trapped inside a string. We cannot touch them, but their resonance shapes the world we know. Perhaps gravity's weakness, light's constancy, even the birth of matter itself are songs from these hidden dimensions, echoing faintly into ours. Close your eyes again. Imagine walking through these unseen corridors. Dimensions that bend not around you, but through you. Space and time folding like silk. In one direction, past. In another, future. In another still, something beyond both. Every moment, every place, a note in a single cosmic chord. We build telescopes to see farther, but the more we see, the more mystery grows. No edge has been found, no center. The universe may be infinite or finite, but unbounded, like the surface of a sphere where traveling forever never finds an end. Perhaps infinity is not size, but recursion, the same pattern repeating from galaxies to atoms, each echoing the other. Some scientists now ask if reality itself might be a simulation, not metaphorically, but literally. A digital cosmos, information encoded and rendered moment by moment. If true, then somewhere beyond all this exists a source. Not a god of myth, but a programmer of existence. Or perhaps the universe programming itself. It is speculation, but it touches the same question religion once asked. What is the mind behind the pattern? Maybe there isn't one. Maybe meaning is emergent, born from complexity itself. Maybe infinity doesn't require a beginning, only continuation. Still, even scientists, when facing the vastness of the unknown, speak in words that sound like prayer. For wonder, too, is data, a reminder that knowledge and awe are not opposites, but partners. Out here, between stars, there is no up or down, no before or after, only motion, only light. And yet, somewhere in the midst of infinity, you exist, a fragile flicker of awareness in a cosmos that may never end. You are the proof that the universe can know itself, even for a moment. That may be enough. Breathe softly. Inhale the silence between galaxies. Exhale the weight of mystery. Let it be what it is. Vast, unsolved, and quietly magnificent. And as your mind drifts in that endless dark, a softer light begins to glow. Not the light of stars, but the gentle illumination of understanding. The return toward stillness. We have traveled far, from atoms to galaxies, from beginnings to infinities. And yet, the final mystery lies not out there, but here, in consciousness itself, the awareness watching the journey unfold. That is where we drift next, toward the quiet source of perception, the mystery of the observer, the dreamer behind the dream. The cosmos hums, and your heartbeat answers. Every mystery we've explored, stars, atoms, oceans, time, all depend on one silent witness. Without the observer, there is no sound, no color, no meaning. The universe might exist, but who would know? Consciousness is the mirror in which reality recognizes itself. It's not an object, not a place, but a presence. The quiet hum behind every thought. The part of you that notices even your noticing. Science can measure brain waves, trace electrical signals through neurons, even predict decisions a fraction of a second before you're aware of them. But no experiment has ever captured experience itself, the first-person reality of being. It's called the hard problem of consciousness, how matter, by rearranging itself, begins to feel. How atoms learn to say, I am. Imagine the brain as a forest of light. 86 billion neurons fire in electrical storms, communicating through flashes of voltage and chemistry. Yet no single neuron contains thought, no cluster, no spark. Awareness seems to emerge from the entire pattern, a wave moving through the whole. Perhaps consciousness is not in the brain, but something the brain tunes into, like a radio catching an invisible frequency. Some scientists believe it arises purely from complexity, that when enough information flows in enough directions, awareness ignites. Others suspect it is fundamental, woven into the universe from the start, like gravity or time. If so, then every atom, every photon, carries a whisper of perception, and we are simply its flowering. Panpsychism, they call it. The idea that mind is everywhere, and we are the universe remembering itself in detail. Close your eyes for a moment. Notice the thoughts drifting past, memories, plans, fragments of feeling. Now, notice the noticer, the still, wordless awareness behind them. It does not change, even as thoughts come and go. It is the same presence that watched your first memory, the same one reading these words now. Through every season, every version of you, it remains untouched, a window that has never aged. If consciousness is fundamental, then maybe space and time flow through awareness, not the other way around. Maybe the brain is a filter, limiting infinity down to something we can survive. In dreams, when the filter softens, awareness expands, creating whole worlds from imagination alone. You walk through them, believe in them, feel them. For those moments, they are as real as waking life. Perhaps the waking world is the same, a shared dream stabilized by collective agreement. Quantum physics hints at something similar. In double-slit experiments, a particle behaves like a wave until observed. Then, it chooses a single position. Observation collapses potential into fact. Does awareness create reality, or simply select it? The line between perception and creation grows thin. Ancient mystics said the same thing in different words, that the world is Maya, a dance of illusion projected by consciousness itself. Modern science, though wary of mysticism, arrives at strangely parallel conclusions. The more we study perception, the less we find an objective world, only interpretation, filtered through mind. Even color does not exist outside of you. Light has wavelengths, but color is the brain's translation of them. Sound is vibration. Music is interpretation. Reality, in that sense, is co-created, half world, half witness. And yet, consciousness is not only perception, it is creation. Every idea, every act of imagination, every moment of compassion extends awareness beyond itself. When you dream, you build a universe. When you love, you enlarge one. Some physicists have begun to ask whether consciousness might shape probability, that awareness itself nudges the world toward coherence. If mind and matter are entwined at the deepest level, then perhaps the universe evolves not only through physics, but through perception, through the act of being seen, felt, known. You can feel that truth in simple ways. A flower noticed blooms differently than one ignored. A person understood changes the moment they're truly heard. The world responds to attention as if attention were light. There's something tender in that. The idea that seeing is a form of creation. Perhaps love is the highest expression of awareness. To look at something and allow it to exist fully, without control, without demand. Just the quiet miracle of recognition. Breathe softly. Your awareness expands and contracts like the universe itself. A wave of noticing. Thoughts arise, dissolve, return. Awareness watches, unchanged. This too is a law of physics, equilibrium, but written in consciousness instead of matter. And as you rest inside that awareness, you begin to sense that it may not end where your body does. When you connect with someone, when you share laughter or grief, awareness overlaps. Separate minds begin to resonate. Perhaps all consciousness is one vast field, and each life is a ripple within it. Birth creates distinction. Death returns to unity. Awareness, eternal, watching itself in endless mirrors. Even time dissolves here. There is no before, no after, only being, the quiet witness that never sleeps. You are not separate from it. You are it. A momentary lens through which the infinite studies its own reflection. Breathe again. Awareness breathing awareness. The dream watching the dream. And as that recognition settles into peace, the final mystery begins to unfold. Not about stars or life or thought, but about ending. What happens when awareness releases the dream? What waits beyond waking, beyond words, beyond the last flicker of thought? That is where we drift next. Into the hush that follows understanding. Into the fade out, where everything returns to stillness. And stillness becomes everything again. The dream continues. The observer watches. And then, quietly, the observer dissolves into the dream. There comes a moment when even curiosity exhales. When the mind, full of galaxies and questions, simply opens its hands and lets them go. That moment is not the end of the story. It is the soft beginning of silence. The kind of silence that holds everything, not as answers, but as rest. Outside, the stars turn slowly, ancient and patient. Their light, millions of years old, falls across your skin as if it were always meant for you. The air cools, the night deepens, and within you, awareness folds inward, not disappearing, but returning home. The body relaxes, each muscle releasing its small gravity. Breath lengthens, becomes the tide again. You feel yourself dissolving gently into the rhythm of the world. Heartbeat, ocean, wind, time. All the same motion, all the same sound. The questions that guided this journey. Why are we here? What is life? What is real? Fade into a softer knowing that it is enough simply to be. Science can trace the atoms, philosophy can name the mysteries, but neither can capture this, the feeling of existence itself, the simple wonder of aliveness. You are not apart from the universe you study. You are its breath made conscious, its awareness curled inside form for a while. Somewhere inside that awareness, a light still flickers, not of thought, but of presence. It needs no reason, no explanation. It is the same light that glowed in the first cell dividing in an ancient sea, the same spark that burned in the first mind that looked at stars. You carry it still. It never went out. Close your eyes. Let the night widen inside you. The edges of your body blur, and what remains is sensation. Weightless, open, luminous. The space around you feels less like emptiness and more like belonging. There is no boundary now between breath and wind, between thought and sky. You have become what you always were, the quiet inside everything. In this silence, there is no hurry, no memory, no future. Time folds into itself like fabric. The self, that small, bright voice, rests in the palm of something larger. Awareness watches even that voice drift away like a feather on water. Nothing is lost. Everything is returning. You may feel as if you are floating, not rising, not falling, just drifting through stillness. Your breath is the earth breathing. Your heartbeat is the pulse of oceans, of stars, of the space between them. Each inhale draws the universe in. Each exhale releases it again. There is no separation now, only flow. The mind, once restless, becomes transparent. Thoughts shimmer and pass like clouds, their meaning dissolving into the larger calm. The heart, too, grows quiet, not empty, but full in a different way. Love without direction, awareness without need. This is what remains when every question has been asked. The awareness that was here before birth and will be hereafter. Not yours alone, but the single awareness that looks through all eyes, breathes through all beings, dreams through all forms. You rest within it now. There is no higher truth than this stillness. The scientist, the poet, the wanderer, they all arrive here eventually, not with knowledge, but with wonder. Outside, dawn begins to stir. A faint silver edge on the horizon. The earth turns toward light again, quietly, inevitably. Birds wake, air shifts. The day remembers itself, and you, still weightless in the fading night, feel the world returning to motion. But the silence within you remains. It moves with you. You do not leave the calm behind. You carry it, like a secret constellation glowing beneath the ribs. This is where the journey ends, not with a conclusion, but with a continuation too quiet to name. The mysteries still exist, unchanged, waiting for the next curious mind to ask. And perhaps, somewhere far away, another traveler listens to these same stars, feeling the same wonder. The circle goes on. Breathe once more. The inhale is new. The exhale, eternal. All things fade, but nothing is truly lost. You are part of the same story that began with the first light and will continue long after it burns out. Now rest. Let the sound of your breath become the sea again. Let thought drift beneath the surface. Let awareness dissolve into the quiet it came from. The journey is complete. You are home. The night exhales, and the universe, through you, falls softly asleep.